So I guess the Pope did a television interview that was watched by millions, and he was asked what his view of hell was. And his answer was kind of crazy. He said, "This is not church dogma, but this is my own opinion." And I thought, first, right there, what? Like, oh, so it doesn't matter. Like, to me, church dogma should be the Bible. So, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to have my own opinion about my faith. But, so that's strange. But what he said was, "I like to think of hell as empty. I hope it is." And so, that's crazy. So Dennis Prager, this is how I heard about it. I was listening to the radio today, and Dennis Prager did a response to the Pope, and he was just saying, number one, if there's no hell, if it's empty, if nobody goes there, then there's no punishment for sin. And so, okay. Then he said, he kind of likened it to what's happening today in the United States, where not nobody, I'm going to just call them out. The leftists do not want to punish and hold people accountable for evil, for sin. And I mean, you can, as most of you know, you can shoplift, and I think it's up to $1,000, no punishment, and many crimes. I don't even think speed. It's like they don't hardly care if you even speed in your car anymore. But we need punishment, and reward is crucial to a society. You need to have punishment for the good to prosper. If you don't have punishment, you have chaos. Anyway, that's what Dennis Prager was talking about. And I agreed with him. But what I didn't agree with was he kept saying heaven is a reward for the good things we've done, and hell is a punishment for the bad things we've done. I disagree with Dennis Prager. But when I heard that, I was thinking, and also I know Dennis Prager's a Jew, so he's talking, not from Christianity. He's talking from being a Jew. But I do believe that many Christians and many Catholics believe that heaven is a reward and hell is a punishment. And that is simply not what the Bible says. If it is a reward, it's a reward only for our faith. And hell, I don't even think hell is necessarily a punishment. I believe it's a place that God created for people that hate him, that refuse to bow their knee to him, and it's where they'd actually rather go. Our God is a merciful God. If anyone, and the only way to heaven is through the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross, that he took the punishment. Sin has to be punished. And Jesus took the punishment by his death on the cross. He conquered death by rising from the dead. And he offers forgiveness and mercy, but you have to receive it. You have to accept it. You have to want that. And I believe you have to say to God, you are just. You are righteous. Your laws are true. I'm a sinner. And there's a verse in Ephesians that I think says it so clear that I have a New Living Translation, which is kind of a modern translation. And so I just want to read this, that it explains so well that heaven isn't a reward for good works. So it says, God saved you by his grace when you believed. And grace, God saved you by his grace. Grace simply means free. It simply means undeserved. It's a free gift. We don't deserve it, but his grace gives it to us anyway. God saved you by his grace when you believed, and you can't take credit for this. It is a gift from God. It is salvation is not a reward for the good things we have done. So none of us can boast about it. So it says it right there. Salvation is not a reward for any good we have done. We could never do enough good to earn it, because we'd have to be sinless our whole life, because heaven is a place where there's no sin. Sin cannot enter there. And so Jesus, that's why he died on the cross, to save us. So I just feel that this is really important, that every Christian understands that fact. Heaven is not a reward. We can never do good enough. We can't work. We could just be the most perfect person, giving away our money, doing this, doing that. But if we have one sin, that's enough that we can't go to heaven. And also, the only one to boast about is Jesus. Like this says, you can't take credit for it. And salvation is not a reward for the good things you've done, so no one can boast about it. And back to the Pope, I've talked about Catholicism, and I just want to say, how dare he? How dare he not speak the truth? Here, this was his opportunity. If he was a true man of God, if he knew the Lord, that question, sorry, there goes my cuckoo clock. That question would have been his opportunity to speak truth. You know, I did a study on hell once. I was speaking to a group of high school kids from, where were they from? I think from Denmark. And none of them, they were Christians. They called themselves Christians, but not one of them believed in hell. So I was doing a study on hell, and I found out that Jesus actually talks about hell in the New Testament more than heaven. I think I read that it's mentioned 70 times. And he doesn't just say, it's clear that it's eternal too, because some people say, well, it's just for a little while, or it's like purgatory, and you can work your way out. And it's very clear in the New Testament that it's eternal. It's a place that's eternal. So, if you're a Catholic and you are still a Catholic after hearing this Pope can't even address a basic Christian doctrine of a real hell, and people go there, I would run, I would get out. That's just my thoughts. And I want to just thank you so much for listening. Just remember, heaven is a free gift by faith, by trust in Jesus Christ alone. And he loves you. He loves all of us. God bless you. Thanks so much for listening.